Hey, it's Andy from SmartWP and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to combine JavaScript and CSS files to increase the site speed of your WordPress website. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what combining and minifying your JavaScript files and CSS files is, it is basically removing the spaces, comments, things like that, things that the web browser doesn't actually need to see for it to actually function. But luckily for WordPress, there's a really easy to use free plugin that will automatically do it for you. Now there are plenty of options. The plugin also lets you combine all of the files to be one request, so only one file is loaded when you load your site, and a bunch of other things. So let's dive right in. Now first, you're probably going to want to test your site speed. Now this can be done with plenty of methods. I'm going to be using the PageSpeed Insights tool from Google. I think this is one of the best tools to use for testing your site speed. Now if you scroll down, we have some good scores here already, as you can tell. But you can see we have this flag here for Minify Javascript, and we also have eliminate render blocking resources. So if you click that, you can actually see some of our CSS and our JavaScript, things like that are actually causing these to pop up. So what this plugin does that I'm going to show you is actually minifies all your files and actually can even defer the JavaScript files to load in the footer so that they aren't considered render blocking resources. Okay, now that we've seen the issue, let's go pop over to our WordPress site. Here's the test site that I have here, just with some images and things like that. The plugin we're going to be using for this is called Autoptimize. It's all one word, so it's kind of like auto-optimized. Now we're going to go into our admin here. Of course, it's just a plugin, so we're going to add it like any other plugin. We're going to go to Plugins, Add New, and we're going to type in the top right, Auto-Optimize. You can see we have the option here to install now. And now we can hit Activate. And you'll see this pop up here saying thanks for installing the plugin, and you can go to the settings here. We're going to manually go to the settings so I can show you where they are. So they're in Settings, Auto Optimize. Now we actually have a few options here for JavaScript, CSS, HTML, and a few other miscellaneous options. So the first we're probably going to want to do is optimize our JavaScript code. And you can see it says do not aggregate but defer. So this will actually make them non-render blocking. So that's kind of good. And we're also going to defer inline CSS. Now let's go down to optimize CSS, and I'm going to enable aggregate the CSS files. This will put all the CSS into one large file. Now the plugin also lets you do eliminate render blocking CSS. This actually requires you to fill out the critical CSS on your site, which I think is kind of difficult, especially if you're a beginner. If you want a function like this that does it all automatically, I highly recommend checking out WP Rocket. It kind of does a lot of things in this plugin, but it's a paid plugin, and today we're just going to be focusing on just doing it for free. So we're going to leave that off for now, but if you're more advanced, that's a nice option to know. So we're going to go down to the next section here, and we're going to optimize our HTML code, which basically just gets rid of all the spaces and things like that the request doesn't actually need to function. And we're going to go down more, and I think this is all the changes we're going to make for now. So let's hit save and empty cache. After we save that, there's also a couple of extra options I recommend turning on in the extra tab, which is mainly the remove emojis option, which will remove the core emojis file, which is not really necessary since now that most browsers support emojis. Now that we've made those changes, let's go test our site again. We'll use PageSpeed Insights again to test our site. This could take about a minute here. And you can see now we have a PageSpeed score of 95, which is great. We still have a few issues here, but we'll go over those in further videos. Of course, we were just focused on CSS and JavaScript. You can still see we have the Minify JavaScript issue, and that's because jQuery is loading. I definitely recommend trying to work with a developer to remove jQuery. It's not needed in a lot of cases still, but you can see we have a little bit less things here. We also don't have the eliminate render blocking resources as well, so that's why the score has gone up. Of course, there's plenty of other things you can do for web performance, including using a better plugin like WP Rocket. I highly recommend that one if you are willing to pay for it. But today we just went over using Auto-Optimize to eliminate render blocking resources for free and to combine and defer our JavaScript and CSS files. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See ya.